All right, Rob, Jeff Teague. NBA players, they all get on these podcasts now and they speak their mind. Gives us good fodder. That's for darn sure. And Jeff Teague went on, Rob, what was it called? What was it? What was the podcast called? The
Brodo. It's and Will show.
The Brodo and Will show.
Vodio Dodo.
And he was comparing James Harden and Dwyane Wade, Rob, and here's what he said.
Is he a top 5 2 guard ever?
Yes, absolutely. I got him over D Wade, but I'm out of pocket.
Yes, you are. But
if you think about it, when he by himself, like D Wade, he had Shaq, then he had Bron.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't never really been by himself. When Miami was by themselves, they was trash. Yep. I remember Joe and them was not killing. They was going to have battles, Miami versus Atlanta.
Shout out to Brad and them, and R.I.P. Kobe. But I was telling when he first got with the Rockets by himself, bro, it was different. The switch, yeah.
And look, I know a lot of people talk about him now, which is still a all-star, by the way. Yeah. Prime James Harden was. Look, he had to play one of the best teams in NBA history. If it wasn't for that, James Harden would have probably got a ring in Houston because they had a perfect team.
He averaged 35 for 5 straight years.
And how many assists?
And 10 assists, bro. He better than D Wade, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
That's tough.
He's better than D Wade, bro.
All right. Look, my top 4 shooting guards of all time. And I couldn't include Steph Curry as a point guard. I got Michael Jordan 1, Kobe Bryant, Jerry West 3, and then Dwyane Wade 4. I don't mind Harden if you want to put him at 5. Some people might argue Iverson. But Harden, there was a time, Rob, not that long ago, I'm talking about a few years ago, where I thought Harden would pass Dwyane Wade. But in regular season, they're right regular season, and it's not all numbers, but obviously his numbers dwarf Dwyane Wade's because, he was the whole offense. And he's got the MVP that Wade never won as far as a regular season. Now, Wade has the finals MVP. But, Rob, why I put Dwyane Wade ahead of him is just that Dwyane Wade came up big in the big moments. And I get it. In 2006, he got a ton of calls in those finals against the Dallas Mavericks.
He only had 100 free throws. I'm just saying.
No, it was
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Chris,
it was
right. It was ridiculous.
It was crazy. But hey, it is what it is, Rob. He averaged 35 points and 8 assists in that series. And was the man. Shaq was still, Shaq was 20 and 10 that year. But in that series, the man was Dwyane Wade. Shaq averaged 13 points, 10 rebounds in that series, Rob. In fact, Antoine Walker was their second leading scorer. They were both, him and Shaq, both at 13, but Walker 13.8, Shaq 13.7. So, and I get it's not just postseason or just, he won a ring. But Wade won 3. Wade carried that team by himself, even when they weren't, before they got the big 3 with LeBron and Bosh. And Harden's done the same, but it's been so different. And I get that their stats in the playoffs are similar. But the fact is, Wade's stats didn't drop. And if they did drop in the playoffs, it was because he was with LeBron. And obviously LeBron was doing most of the number one option. And so I just think that combined with the fact that Harden, he's not quite as bad as everybody, his reputation in the playoffs, because he has had some big games. But Rob, in the biggest moments, like the game 6s and 7s, for the most part, or too often, let me say it that way, too often, he has really come up small, not shot it well, had a ton of turnovers, not been aggressive, not shot it as much as he should. So many different things. And I just think with that being the case, I got to put Wade ahead of him.
I just think it's almost impossible to put James Harden, despite his regular season numbers, because of the failures in the postseason. One guy's won 3 championships and the other guy's won 0. It's just I'm just looking at it from that standpoint. And then again, it wasn't all 3 when LeBron showed up. He had already won before LeBron showed up. So you got to give him that. I didn't like that finals. I thought it was outrageous, Chris, the free throws and the fouls. I mean, I just that was one of the worst finals I remember watching. I just couldn't get it.
I remember covering that, and
right, because he had more free throws than the entire Mavericks team. Like
I'm looking at the numbers now.
Can you look at what he attempted? It was ridiculous.
In 6 games, he attempted 139 free throws.
That's crazy, Chris.
That's 15. I'm sorry. 139 free throws. I'm trying to see what that is per game.
Divided by 6.
Dallas, Rob, had 155.
Right. He had the entire team. 139 to 155? Unheard of for one guy.
That is.
So the James Harden.
That's more than 20 a game.
That's Chris.
Wait, let me. Am I looking at this right? 130. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was looking at field goal attempts. I was about to say, like, God, it was 97.
Yeah, but still in 6 games, that's a lot. That's
97 free throw attempts.
What is that a game?
I mean, that's only
15.
It's 16. Yeah, 16 a game.
Free throws is a lot, Chris.
Per game.
16 free throws.
And look, he was an attacker, right? He was a slasher.
Yeah,
he
but
wasn't a 3-point shooter. But no, it was noticeably like, wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, that was over the top. But that's my point. Is just that it's just hard to make a case for Harden with all the disappearing acts and bad games. And I know he's had some great games as well. I'm not trying to act like he never had any great games, but it's just hard for me to really sit there and say, oh yeah, James. Despite James Harden would have exactly the same things if he was playing. Well, he's played with great players.
That's the
thing. He's played with great players. You can't use that argument.
That's the thing. You can't. And I get it that when he was with Westbrook and Durant, they were all young. Okay, fine. But after that, he had Dwight Howard. Right, that didn't work out. He had Chris Paul. That didn't work out. He had Russell Westbrook. That didn't work out. He had Durant and Kyrie. That didn't work out. Now he's got Embiid and he's trying to leave. Embiid, we know is not Shaquille O'Neal, but he's one of the closest things we have in this day and age. He's MVP of the league, and you want to get away from him.
Here's some numbers, Chris. Ready? So Wade has shot 40% or worse in the playoffs in 50 of his 177 games. So that's 20.
Wade?
Yeah. Okay.
50 of his 100 and how many?
177 games. That's 28% of the time.
Below 40%.
He shot below 40. James Harden has shot 40% or worse, Chris, in the playoffs in 66 of his 160 games. That's 41%. So way higher than Dwyane Wade. Those are just some numbers right there that speak to it.
And look, if somebody's just going to look at the numbers, Harden's going to have better numbers for the most part, right? I mean, Rob, he was the entire offense.
And a big-time three-point shooter.
Right. Wade wasn't a three-point shooter. It was a different era. It really wasn't a weakness that he wasn't one back then, but it was just a different era, and they played differently. But I agree with you. I mean, Harden is phenomenal. Like his regular seasons, I said it a few weeks ago on the show. If it was just about regular season, Rob, there's no telling how high he would rank. I mean, he's been great, but his playoff, and some of it, Rob, is the day and age we live in, where now, we see all the games. We discuss every single game, every single big moment. And so it's the scrutiny obviously is magnified. And some of that, Rob, we don't remember really. And again, he wasn't like Harden, Barkley, but Barkley, any of the players of that era, we really don't remember their bad playoff games. But he has been so uncharacteristically either bad or average in so many big games that it really is to some degree tarnishing his image a little bit. I hate to say
a
it,
little
but
bit. I think a lot. I mean, and last year was a perfect example, Chris, wasn't it? He had the big game 1 in Boston, the big game 5 in Boston, and then disappeared 6 and 7. I mean,
right. When the rubber hit the road, he wasn't.
He was there. Rob G, you got more stats?
When it was game 1 and MB was out,
he played great.
And nobody and here, let's paint the picture. Nobody's expecting anything, Rob.
Yep.
No, he had nothing.
That was an L. That was supposed to be an L.
Everybody's, it was in Boston. Nobody's thinking anything. He goes out and he's great. And then he had, game 5? He had another great game. I'll give him credit for that.
Yep.
But I will say this, and then Rob, you can get to the numbers. And this is just sometimes, but look, at the end of the day, every player faces not only their skills, how well they play or poorly they play, but they all get their share of luck, good or bad. And at the end of the day, he controlled it, how he played, because he didn't deliver. But Rob, that team with him and Chris Paul in 2018, man, they had Golden State. You remember that? That's the thing. He had his chance. They were up 3-2, and then Chris Paul gets hurt. And okay, you don't expect Harden to take those guys out. But if they win that series, who knows what happens against Cleveland? I kind of think Cleveland would have beat them. But maybe they played Golden State tougher than Cleveland did. But maybe that would have been the year. But he had his chance the next year, Rob. 2-2. And what happened? Durant gets hurt. So it's you and Chris Paul against Steph and Clay. And they couldn't deliver. So he's had a few opportunities and he didn't get it done.
Rob G, real quick, got numbers?
Yeah, you were just touching on the most recent James Harden postseason disappointment against Boston.
Right.
Games 1 and 4 were actually the 2 games, not 1 and 5. 1 and 4.
1 and 4. Okay.
Oh, 1 and 4. Sorry about that.
33 of 53 shooting, 62%. He was outstanding.
He was tremendous.
The other 5 games combined, 16 of 63, 25%.
Wow. You just can't. You can't have that.
Right. You can't ignore it.
No. So I'm sorry. I get it. Harden, phenomenal regular season player. I can't put him ahead of D Wade. Because D Wade, Rob, wasn't just okay in the playoffs. He got it done. I mean, you can say what you want about the fouls, but he got it done.